Teslacam, I hope you're satisfied.
Darius and his friend Hunter were heading to work, Darius in his black Model 3 and Hunter driving his red one. Watch what happened as they crested a hill. A work van was turning in front of them, but when the driver saw the two Teslas approaching, he came to a stop in the middle of the road. Hunter swerved to the left, clipping the rear of the van, but managed to regain control as he turned into the oncoming lane. Meanwhile, Darius swerved to the right of the van. In the left repeater camera, we can see that the van was inches away from making contact with the black Tesla. Incredibly, nobody was harmed. The outcome could have been very different if they'd hit the van head-on or if there had been a car in the turn lane. A park ranger was conveniently coming down the same road at the same time, and police were also called. The police determined that the van driver was at fault for the unsafe turn. Hunter filed a claim with the van driver's insurance provider and is currently waiting on a repair estimate. Here comes another video of one Tesla recording another crashing, which is unusual, since most of our Tesla wreck submissions are recordings from the Tesla involved in the collision. This time, our submitter wants to know who you think was at fault. A Mercedes driver signaled to make a left turn while a Model 3 was speeding up the parking lane. Obviously, the Mercedes driver didn't check their side view mirror before turning. They hit the Model 3, which then sped through the intersection and straight into a light pole. This occurred at around 7 p.m., and in this area, parking lanes can be used by rush hour traffic between 4 and 6 p.m. Who do you think was at fault? The Mercedes driver or the Tesla driver? Leave your opinion in the comments. Bobby was driving his Model 3 in Melbourne, Australia, when two gentlemen decided to stop in the middle of the road to exchange pleasantries. Bobby stopped at the lights up ahead, and both drivers passed him again before going their separate ways. So it looks like they sorted everything out using words instead of the tools they were holding. Jason was sitting in his parked Model Y when he and Sentry Mode had front row seats to some road rage. It all started when a Honda CR-V driver honked at the driver of a Cadillac Escalade at a red light. The Escalade driver proceeded to get out of his car and walk up to the Honda. He then spit on the Honda driver through the open window before walking back to his car, but not before gesturing to the Honda driver that he's number one. The Honda driver kept honking, so the Escalade driver returned for round two. It seems like spitting is his weapon of choice. This time, he spat on the window and the hood of the Honda. Once the Honda driver had enough of the free car wash, he pulled around the spitter and his parked Escalade. Rox was driving to work at around 7:30 a.m. and had stopped to turn left when, bam! The driver behind her wasn't paying attention and slammed into her 2-month-old Model Y Performance. It's clear the driver didn't even attempt to slow down. In fact, after getting out of the car, they asked Rox why she'd stopped so suddenly. Thankfully, she was able to provide the video to the police, and they considered the case open and shut, finding the other driver fully responsible. The Tesla was totaled, and Rox is now waiting on the delivery of a new Model Y Performance. She wishes this had only been a Honda bump, but it definitely seemed like more of a Honda bam. Rox and her husband Kiba are both huge fans of the channel. While they're not thrilled about what happened to their car, they later chuckled about being able to finally join the Wham Bam Teslacam Club. Andrew was driving his Model 3 in Singapore when the BMW driver in front of him suddenly made an aggressive lane change, almost crashing into a motorcycle. Afterward, Andrew noticed that the driver was arguing with his female passenger. Ryan was waiting at a red light when the driver of a black Camaro behind him started honking as if challenging him to a race. Even though Ryan was on his way to his brother's party and displayed no interest in racing, the Camaro matched his speed after he turned left. When Ryan went to turn onto his brother's street, the Camaro driver cut him off before getting out and approaching Ryan's Tesla. Ryan quickly left the area and sought refuge in a nearby gated community he's familiar with. Unfortunately, the gate attendant took his time opening the gate, leaving Ryan vulnerable. At that moment, the Camaro driver caught up to Ryan and ran toward his Tesla. We've pointed out how durable Tesla door handles are, as road ragers seem to have a big problem opening them. The driver kicked and hit Ryan's Tesla and demanded that Ryan get out of the car and fight him. Eventually, Ryan was able to escape, and he chose not to press charges against the aggressor. While this Model 3 owner was at an airport, he got a notification that his car alarm was going off. He took a quick look at his car from a distance, and everything seemed fine. When he got back to his car, he found out what had really happened. Roll the jingle.
Jump in! Honda bumped! Honda bumped! Yeah!
He tried to contact the police, but they weren't any help, unfortunately. He filed a claim with his insurance provider, and he's letting them go after the Honda bumper. Brian was driving home from school one night when a rogue tire came rolling across 2 lanes of traffic and directly onto the front of his Model 3. Brian said he'd only just noticed some small debris in the middle of the road right before the tire came into view, so he had no time to take evasive action. Brian told us he's a fairly new subscriber and he got a Tesla after seeing how safe they are thanks to our videos. Did you hear that, Tesla? We're helping you sell cars. Please invite us to the Cybertruck delivery event. We promise we won't crash anything. I mean, we might crash the party if we don't get invited. B-Maroc was on his way to Home Depot when he watched a red pickup truck hit the mirror of a stopped Amazon delivery van, breaking it off. The pickup driver didn't stop and fled the scene. Check out the disappointment on the delivery guy's face. We're betting he wishes he was driving one of the new Rivian delivery vans since it has Guardian mode, right? It's like Sentry Mode, but with more Jeff Bezos.
Jeff who?
This submitter was driving on a narrow street one morning at 8 a.m. when a driver coming from the left didn't stop and hit the side of the Tesla. The driver's door was bent, and multiple doors and body panels were also scratched. The submitter made an insurance claim, and the other driver was found 100% at fault. Randy was driving in Oceanside, California, when he spotted this chopped-up Model S that's been turned into a pickup truck. He says the skull on the hood gives it that Pimp My Ride vibe. This submitter was driving westbound on Madison Avenue as an Uber driver to make some extra money after work. He was transporting a passenger when an SUV crashed into the BMW in front of them. Since he had a passenger in the car and the accident didn't look too severe, he continued on. If you know the owner of this BMW, our submitter asks that you share this video with them. Hopefully it can help them with their insurance claim. Ivan dropped off his daughter at school and was returning home. When he was almost home, a little boy ran out from behind cars into the middle of the road before running back. Ivan hit the brakes and the Tesla stopped instantly. The speed limit on this road is 15 miles per hour. Thankfully, Ivan had been obeying the speed limit, but he told us that many drivers speed down this road. Ivan doesn't want to think about what might have happened if someone else had been driving down this road at the time. John was driving his Model 3 in Wildwood, Florida, when a driver going way too fast in the left lane slammed on their brakes only to lose control and hit another car. John emailed a statement to the police along with this video, but he hasn't heard anything back. Dario had parked his Model 3 on the streets of Rome in Italy when a Fiat parked in front of him and the driver forgot something when he jumped out. Oh yeah, the parking brake, a small but important detail. The Fiat rolled into the parked Tesla, and Dario is now sorting out the insurance claim to get the damage fixed. Roger went home after a quick run to Target. Everything was fine until he went to plug in at home. That's when he noticed his rear mudguard was misaligned. When he took a closer look, he also discovered scratches all down the right side of the car. He checked his Sentry Mode footage and discovered a Lexus driver had hit his car while trying to park. The driver promptly backed out and left after noticing what they'd done. Roger contacted the police to report the hit and run before contacting his insurance provider to make a claim. Steve was driving with his wife and 2 kids to visit the safari park in Como, Mississippi when he noticed a Dodge Charger approaching fast from behind before overtaking him on the right. Right after that, he watched an SUV do the same thing. Worried he might be driving too slow, he merged into the right lane. Moments later, he saw the Charger swerve into the right lane and then back before going into the median and rolling several times. Debris went flying everywhere. Steve called 911 only to find out someone else had already reported the incident. Steve searched the news, but he never found out what had happened. By the time they drove back the other way 2 hours later, the scene had been cleared. He just hopes everyone involved was okay. While driving in Coral Springs, an Audi SUV driver mistook the left green arrow for a green light and ran a red light, crashing into an oncoming vehicle turning left. A police officer happened to be sitting at the red light and witnessed the whole thing, and he rushed over to make sure everyone was okay. Joshy thought they could make the officer's job a little easier and sent this video to the Coral Springs Police Department. Joseph was following a Kia while merging onto I-76 in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. While he was looking over his left shoulder to merge, he noticed the Kia rear-end a Chevrolet in his peripheral vision. With no time to react, Joseph swerved left to avoid the Chevrolet. The Kia driver overcorrected, hitting an Audi before returning and hitting the Tesla. The driver who'd stopped on the on-ramp had no good excuse for doing so. Joseph told us this on-ramp is notorious for accidents because people just don't know how to drive. The impact was so hard that the front end of Joseph's Model 3 lifted off the ground. Heavy damage resulted to the front left of the vehicle and driver's quarter panel. The Kia driver didn't have proper insurance coverage, so Joseph's insurance provider had to pay for the repairs. The initial damage estimate was for $22,000 US and should have taken 2 months to repair. When the shop examined the vehicle, they found a hole in the battery casing. This required a full battery replacement, increasing the cost of repairs to $40,000. With the repair cost now exceeding the value of the vehicle, the Tesla was totaled. The Kia, the Audi, and the Tesla all had to be towed away from the scene. The Chevy driver left even before the cops arrived. Fred was driving his Model 3 down a highway in Titusville, Florida, when he noticed traffic slowing down and flashing blue lights up ahead. It turned out there was an accident ahead in the left lane. One SUV driver got a little impatient and overtook Fred in the right lane. Unsurprisingly, when traffic came to a complete stop, the SUV driver wasn't ready for it. He locked up his brakes and caused another collision in the left lane when he smacked into the median barrier. We've gotten lots of feedback that our episodes often lack proper endings, so let's try something new. Please enjoy this cinematic outro.